Larson. Austin Dillon bobbles just a little bit.
Oh, now he's on the outside. Chastain's got him.
4 wide.
Oh, they're wrecking. Unbelievable. Did the caution come out?
They get the
Yes.
white?
No.
Caution before the white.
Caution. We will line up and do it again.
Oh, my gosh.
All those guys going for it, coming off of turn 4. Austin Dillon looked like he was in the perfect position.
Goes for broke. Larson didn't see him coming. But when Larson didn't get up in front of Chastain, that's when I think all the trouble happened. I still thought Larson was okay, Jamie, if he would have got up in front of the one and utilized that push. When they got 3 wide, it was actually 4 wide by the time they got off and just...
Well, it looks like Austin Dillon came up a little bit, not knowing that they were 3 wide there, that Chastain was to the outside of Larson and got hooked and turned to the outside wall.
In what was one of the most thrilling races of the Coca-Cola 600 we've seen in decades, this wreck right here costed so many drivers a shot at winning one of the biggest races of the season. Austin Dillon would throw it in there on fresh tires in the middle of turns 3 and 4. He would slide up and make it 4 wide on Kyle Larson, Ross Chastain, and Denny Hamlin. All of them would end up touching and crashing, except Hamlin would become through unscathed and become the victor on that very night. Just one of the most astonishing finishes we've seen in the Coca-Cola 600 in recent years.
Oh, Jimmy! Trouble! Kenseth in the wall, Biffle in the wall, Kenseth spins into the pack!
I thought he was going to be able to get it well out in front of Kenseth.
Yeah, but Kenseth got over on his quarter pound for just a second. You see Jimmy try to get away, but Kenseth had a good restart. Jimmy just got loose before he got down in there. He was just trying to drive it off in the corner and make sure that he got ahead.
With rain looming in the area on lap 91 of 160 of the Pocono race, it was past halfway, which meant if rain was coming and it came and you were the leader, you would win the race. So many drivers went off into turn number 1, ready to try to take the lead so they could be first when the rain comes. But unfortunately for most of these drivers, they all ended up crashed. Most of these drivers were also championship contenders. Brad Keselowski, Jimmy Johnson, Matt Kenseth, Greg Biffle, they were leading the points at this time. So it was just one of the wildest things to see happen.
He's making his ground on the top side of the racetrack. The season goes to the top. Wide open on the top of the track. It's going to be a drag race right to the end.
Here goes Burton on the high side. Busch makes the block out of turn 4. Burton squeezes high. They are door to door. It's Jeff Burton. Good job. Woo-hoo. Jeff Burton takes the win, and Kyle Busch slams the wall on the...
Okay, have you ever watched a race where almost everybody crashes and the winner of the race had so much damage the car was almost unrecognizable? Well, this is what happened in the 2020 Clash, and the reason I'm putting this one on this list is because so many drivers had an opportunity to win the race, and they all just ended up crashing themselves, their competitors, or ended up doing stupid things in the track to ruin their race. Only like 6 cars were at the finish of this race, and between Joey Logano crashing, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, the list goes on. It was crazy.
And a pile up in the middle. The 18 of Kyle Busch is around. Contact. They're rolling in there. Gray Gaulding hits late.
And Steve, you said it.
I don't think I got the left runner.
Just because you have a great car doesn't mean you're going to avoid these kind of things. See Kyle Busch on the bottom of the racetrack, gets up the racetrack, out of that sticky stuff into Ryan Blaney, then he just spins in front of the field.
And when he does that, a roadblock right there on the front stretch.
Little contact for the 78.
The 2018 Bristol night race was one of the most eventful races as a race fan I've ever seen for a specific driver, and it was Kyle Busch. Not even 2 laps complete into the NASCAR race at Bristol, Kyle Busch was involved in a massive accident in the back of the field. He would be spun around and collected with rear damage. But that was not the end for Kyle Busch. He made spot after spot after spot up that night, making up his track position. All unfortunately until the end of the race when he had more tires go down and ended up getting spun out, would ultimately end his night. But this wreck right here probably cost Kyle Busch a shot at the win, because I feel like if he didn't get crashed, he would have lapped the field by like 8 laps.
Not use up too much of those tires, not build those air pressures up too much, and he's also, Jimmy Johnson going around.
Into the wall hard.
Unbelievable, our leader.
the guys know about a lap ahead of time when it's going to run out, so they'll feel it sputter. But that up.
And
Sorry, James.
Kyle Busch almost saved it. He collects Logano, and he's in the wall with Keselowski.
Yeah, you saw Joey Logano trying to keep Kyle Busch behind him, tried to block him, and Kyle went to the inside and, whoa, almost turns Denny Hamlin.
Almost turned him again.
Man, this is wild back here on the back straightaway. Got Boyer giving a big,
Hamlin
goes around. I bet that fender caused that right rear tire to go down. Logano in it again. This one's going to take the 48 of Jimmy Johnson out this time. Chase Elliott, trying to get to the outside of the 42 of Kyle Larson.
Whoa, down to the bottom, and they touch.
Oh, another wreck. Goodness.
In what should have been his championship run and could have been his final race and win a championship in the same night, Carl Edwards' fate was sealed when he would throw a bad block on Joey Logano, ultimately ending his race and a shot at a title. Carl Edwards was the dominant car in the 2016 Homestead race, but up until just a handful of laps to go, when he threw the bad block on Logano, his championship hopes went up in flames. Unfortunately for Edwards fans, this would be the final night they would ever see Edwards race, as he would retire immediately after the 2016 season.
Take him now. He's going to get to him, get him loose. He is loose. Got him loose. He got to wiggling.
They're going to be side by side.
But then he had to lift.
He did.
Oh, he turned him.
And Larson's in the wall.
Oh, my gosh.
Barely tapped him. Run, Denny. Oh, goodness gracious.
Denny Hamlin comes sailing off turn number 4.
Sure did.
To the checkered flag. Hamlin wins Kansas.
That's where he's been tough all day, getting off into turn 3. He's going to close the gap, but I think it's going to be too little too late. He's there, but he can't make the pass.
He got to fight off the left side, just like yesterday. Here they come at the track.
Wow! And it's McMurray. No, it's not. It's Bodine.
Jamie slides across the finish second.
Man, 2 days in a row, 2 fabulous finishes.
I can guarantee you that this finish right here is one of, if not the most forgotten finish in NASCAR, solely because it happened a day after Ricky Craven and Kurt Busch had their phenomenal side-by-side finish at Darlington. But nobody remembers the Busch Series race when Todd Bodine and Jamie McMurray had a wild finish. But ultimately, this was one of the craziest finishes I've ever seen in the mid-2000s.
Through the corner, still on his fender, on the high side, Logano going for it. They're down the backstretch. Logano with a half a car length on him. Now here comes Carl back on the low side. Carl slips a little.
Come on, he's sideways.
Now he gets Logano. Joey's into the bar, and the car's upside down. On the side is Clint.
Yellow's out, yellow is out, yellow is out.
Wallace gets into it. The 14 of Bliss gets into it. Red flag immediately.
Stop on the back. They want you to stop on the back.
They are stopping everyone on the backstretch.
Or something. I just in the throttle. He got loose. I touched him, guys.
We've seen different drivers on this video in this list of wrecking themselves or taking themselves out of contention for wins, but this time it was somebody else taking another driver out of a shot to win. And it was Carl Edwards who would get into Joey Logano at the finish of the 2011 Dover race, the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Edwards and Logano would make massive contact off of turn 4, sending Logano spinning hard into the wall and collecting Clint Boyer and almost flipping down the front stretch. Thankfully, everybody was okay, but it was still one of the most violent crashes at Dover we've ever seen. The 2016 champion, Jimmy Johnson, had so many faulty mistakes early on in the chase that year, and this one is probably one that he would love to get back. Jimmy Johnson was king at Dover, and he ended up having a mistake on pit road when his crew members went over the wall too soon, costing him a shot at the win.
That is there for safety. They don't want the crew members in the pit box before the cars get there, because say a car gets spun out. We see that all the time. If the crew members were able to just climb over and kneel and wait, they would be defenseless to a spinning race car.
And we've made it a little bit difficult for them. Look at the 43 coming out. Well, now the 43 is blocking the view of the pit crew for the 48. So that made it a little more difficult for the jack man to understand when he could go over the wall. That 43 didn't do anything wrong by any means, but visually, it's much more difficult to make that decision when to go because of where the 43 is.